Hi everyone, in this video I talk about 30 common signs from spirit. My name's Rhys Wynn Davies, psychic medium. Hope you enjoy this video. The first most common sign from spirit are feathers. Feathers that turned up in random, unexpected places can be a great sign from the angelic and even spiritual world that they're supporting you and trying to guide you at that moment in time. I always say to people, what are you thinking about? Where are you when it happened? What's going on in your mind? And who do you want these feathers to be from? I get a lot of clients that say, I see feathers all the time, white ones. It must be from my grandma. Is this true? Well, I say, well, have you told them that that's what you want? And so be very clear. Tell the spirit person who you want it to be from, how many feathers you want when they do show up, what type and what color. And at some point, the spirit world will give you a sign that they're with you and helping you through a challenging time. I have a grandma in spirit that gives me white feathers with 2 black tips, and I know it's her. And recently I asked for 3 black feathers, pointy end facing the same direction and the same length, all black, nice and clean, side by side. And 15 minutes later, while walking along the path, that's what I found. And I knew that I had an auntie in spirit watching over me when I asked for it, yeah? So give them time, make sure it's possible, and at some point, through feathers, they'll definitely give you a sign that they're with you moving forward. The second most common sign from spirit are synchronicities. These are coincidental moments that appear to be far more than just random occurrences, too perfect to be true, right? So in that moment, I believe there's no real coincidences at all, just perfect opportunity. So when something's happening to you, like, I don't expect this to be happening to me right now, I must be pinching myself, or I don't deserve this, or why is this all coming together really easy for me when it's harder for others? Please say yes and enjoy the ride. It's when you're truly connected to your higher self and the spirit world is definitely telling you, yes, this is your moment and you deserve it, and it's divinely. So please trust in that moment. Yeah, you do deserve to have sometimes moments in your life that you feel just all of a sudden falling into your lap and going your way. So say yes. There's only opportunity. There are no coincidences. The third most common sign from spirit are dreams. This is where spirit can manifest vivid dreams to you to try and help you, to guide you, even to give you a warning. It's very important when you wake up from your dreams that you think slowly, recall your dreams. Does this feel like it's the ring of truth? Is this a warning to you? I always say to my clients, have a book by your side. Try and lie in a little bit longer. Close your eyes, slow your breath down. Then try and recall your dreams. And if you see a pattern recurring on paper from your thoughts that are happening in your dreams, then analyze it and look at it as if, well, what's the truth in this? Is this a warning, or are they trying to tell me something? Vivid dreams are definitely part of the spirit world, trying to show you signs of guidance, love, and support, and to help you through challenging times. The fourth most common sign from spirit are recurring numbers. This can be 111, 222, 333, 444, 777, and these can hold great spiritual significance to people. They can also turn up in sequence of numbers on number plates for people too. I always say to my clients, have you assigned a number or a sequence of numbers to a loved one? I would say to my clients often, 1111, for example, 1111 would be a great number to allocate to someone who might have been in the war. The 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th hour, for example. And so if they see that, knowing that it might be a granddad or even a great-granddad, for example, who might have been in the wartime, and they often see that recurring in their everyday life, then maybe that person is supporting them and watching over them. You have to be very clear and very specific and allocate it to the right person, yeah? You can be so specific, like I want to see 333 on a purple Lamborghini. That is physically possible. It can be manifested. It can't be too impossible for them. But if it is something that can happen in natural everyday life on the physical plane, at some point the spirit world can give you pattern numbers to show you that they're with you and watching over you. Now, they also hold a lot of angelic and spiritual significance, and there's lots of information on the internet about the sequence of numbers and their meaning. There's literally thousands of interpretations. I would just say to you all watching this that if you are getting a sequence of numbers, first of all, make sure it's not from a loved one. And if not, and you're not sure, then please assign a series of numbers to a loved one. And when you get that in the future, you know it's them. But if you're just looking for the angelic or spiritual significance of what that number might be, you keep seeing it all the time, and you want to know what the importance of that number and not from someone who's died in the spirit world, then go on Google and research these sequence of numbers and what they might mean. I guess you've got free will there. Please take what works and bin what doesn't feel right to you with things that you read and absorb on the internet about the sequence of numbers and their true purpose and meaning and why they occur, yeah? It's very open to interpretation and everyone's got lots of ideas, but the main thing is, does it feel true to you? And that's what I'm trying to say there. The fifth and most common sign from spirit are birds and animal encounters. This is where birds or unique types of animals or different types of animals, all of a sudden turn up unexpectedly in really unusual moments, not typical everyday life moments. I had, for example, one client where they were at the grave site of their father, and the coffin hadn't been lowered into the ground. And while they were there, a kookaburra came and landed on the coffin while they're, in a sermon and saying beautiful words about their father. And the kookaburra just started laughing in front of everybody. And it made everybody laugh. And basically that moment made the lovely girl feel like, well, that's typically my father. Even in sad times, he would try and make other people laugh. And this is why he's chosen a kookaburra to come through to show us that. Moving forward from that, even a year or two later, having a kookaburra tap on the glass at their home and start laughing on the windowsill, not typical. These moments made the people feel like their father in spirit was trying to let them know that they're not gone. And the lovely family associate kookaburras with their dad since he's passed. These moments are very, very special to people, yeah? It can be a gathering of birds all the same color, particularly in America, like red cardinals. Seeing, 3 or 4 males together wouldn't be typical, and something like that might be a sign from a loved one. You have to be very clear what you want that to be, and if you do want an animal or assign an animal to a loved one, and be very clear who it's for and how many. Be specific, yeah? I had another lady that had a deer that would come and visit the gravesite of her father too. And every time she sees a deer, she often thinks of her father in that way. And so birds and animal encounters can be very, very special to people. The 6th most common sign from spirit are electrical encounters, lights flickering, going off and on, electrical disturbances, things turning on and off, those kinds of things. I love this aspect from spirit because they're a great sign to let you know they are there. But I feel too, a lot of people sometimes feel scared or nervous around this type of sign from spirit too, right? So the main thing here is the spirit world need a lot of time and energy to make electrical currents and things shift and change on the physical plane, right? So it can take multiple attempts before it can actually manifest into something in great, influence. So, for example, if you had a light that flickered, you could say, "Is that you, Dad?" in the spirit world. "Is that you, Dad?" 1 for yes, 2 for no, right? And then that might be it. It might flicker once and you go, "Well, it's Dad." And you might ask another question and it doesn't do anything and get despondent about it, right? But a week or 2 later, even a month or even longer, it starts again. And then they might give you a little bit more. And so this is where you have to be very patient and very supportive to the fact that this is a very hard thing for spirit to actually manifest as well, yeah? And it takes time. The main thing when this is all going on is, who do you feel the energy of around you at the time? Do you get an impression of a loved one that makes the feeling of them being around you? Like, do you sense a presence around you in your aura? Do you even get an impression in your third eye, or get a sense of them or a feeling? Or do you get other sensations, like even a smell from them when this is going on? And then start the communication. Yes, it's very important to be open-minded to that. and know that it can take time. But electrical interferences are a wonderful sign from spirit to let you know they're not gone. So sometimes when these things are going on, what's also the message between the lines? If all of a sudden the TV goes on, what's the story about? If all of a sudden a song turns on when it shouldn't from the radio, what's the song about? What's the message between the lines? Because that's also their way of trying to get to you, yeah? The seventh most common sign from spirit are intuitive nudges. This is when you feel like you're getting pulled from one idea or thought into the next thing, or when you're with a person, all of a sudden you change your mind out of nowhere and want to go somewhere different, or you feel like it's not safe to go somewhere or do something either. It's like all of a sudden there's been some kind of intervention, like a nudge in some way that's putting you on a different path or changing the way you're thinking. Yeah, please take note of this. You ever get a gut feeling not to go somewhere, or you don't trust someone, or you feel like this is an absolute yes for me? If I didn't feel like I did this right now, I'd feel like I would miss out on something. Then please do it. It's highly likely you're getting a nudge from the spirit world and they're wanting to help you and guide you in your life in that moment in time. The eighth most common sign from spirit are rainbows. And who doesn't love a rainbow, right? Rainbows are so cool. Rainbows also, can be seen as a divinative kind of sense of hope, and that, there's hope on the horizon. And for many of us, it kind of feels like, even fortune coming, because there's often a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Yeah. I always thought there was when I was growing up. And I used to even try and chase the rainbow to get to the end because I was told that there was gold there. I've been chasing all my life and still haven't got it yet. But, you can also assign rainbows to the spirit world, right? So, for example, you could say, I want two rainbows together. And when I get that, I know it's from you, Granddad. Yeah? And that's possible. It's something that can happen in nature. And when it does, they would definitely be trying to show you that wherever you are in the world, whether you're in the car or whatever at work, and you see a double rainbow, no matter what's going on in your mind or things happening in your personal life, that they are there right now, letting you know they're supporting you. And that can give great sense and hope for people, can't it, moving forward. So rainbows can be a great sign to people, and then very much an angelic and even spiritual upliftment and enlightenment kind of symbology of moving forward, that things are going to be okay. Yeah. The ninth most common sign from spirit are coins and dimes, depending on which part of the hemisphere you're from in the world. I have a grandma in spirit who used to love wrapping 5-cent coins in alfoil and putting them in Christmas pudding with hot custard. And I used to absolutely love eating that, but also how much money I could get as pocket money to go and get some candy from the store, was also a real buzz. But now I get 5-cent coins turning up in really unexpected places and random places like that, which makes me feel like she's just leaving me a little coin to let me know that she's with me, right? So coins and dimes or other types of coins and things like that can be very important. It could be, pennies, depending if you're from the UK, for example, or it could be a particular type of coin, or a coin that has a certain date on it or a certain time period, And when you see that and find one, you know that the people in the spirit world are watching over you or giving you a sign to let you know they're with you and helping you at this moment in time. The 10th most common sign from spirit are unexplained scents. Fragrances, colognes, and perfumes that can remind you from a departed loved one can often be a sign from the spirit world. I've had some people, for example, that say in a reading, the grandma comes through to show me that she wore Elizabeth Arden, and you really recently smelt this going through a shop. Does this make sense? And they say, yes, that's absolutely true. It was her favourite perfume, and I did smell that. And when I smell that, I always think of her. In fact, I even have a bottle of that at home to remind me of her. Or it was hers that she left behind and gave it to me before she died. Or after she died, I went and collected it to remind me of her. So scents and smells can be very, very special to people. It can be even body scent. Sometimes, obviously, people leave clothes behind once they're passed, and a lot of people cherish these clothing items, and they can have a smell to it, can't they? So sometimes even a smell can mean something to a person that might remind them. I've got a grandma that loved potpourri, in her time, and when I smell that or see that, I often feel like that's a sign from them. I also have a granddad that used to love to smoke cigars, and cigarettes. And there's been times when even it was physically impossible that the smoke could come from anywhere but from a spirit, because it was in a unique space, an environment where there was nothing smoking or anything burning that would resemble anything of that. Men's colognes, like Old Spice and Brute 33 and all these types of cool stuff. And it can even be the scent and smell of foods, right? I had a family member that loved licorice all sorts, so when I get the smell of that, I feel like that connects to them. Musk lollies, and mint lollies and things like that can also make people feel connected and that there's a loved one in the spirit world, that's nearby and watching over them, yeah? The 11th most common sign from spirit are butterflies and dragonflies. And these often represent, transformation or rebirth, and can be very much, I guess, spiritually significant to many people when they see them. Often people are going through a difficult time or changing relationships or whatever. Seeing a butterfly or a dragonfly can mean, well, I'm going through a transition and a change, and there's great things still to come for me. There's new beginnings. So it can be very much a divinative influence, but you can also associate this with family members who've passed and in the spirit world. I have a grandfather, for example, who brings me 2 butterflies that are black and blue, and when I see them, I know it's him. Grandma that brings 3 yellow, lime green butterflies with little brown spots on the lower wings. It's that specific, and I know when I see them that I've got these beautiful people in the spirit world who mean so much to me still, around me and watching over me. It's really good to kind of assign more than one though, so you rule out the chance of natural occurrence, 2 or 3 collectively. And when these things happen, and also weird circumstances or not typical circumstances, then you can really rule out the law of nature, and that there is some intervention that the spirit world is trying to, show you a sign that they're with you and helping you moving forward. Yeah. The 12th most common sign from spirit are songs, and I really love music a lot. It's a big part of my life. Songs and music can be so relative to an emotional time in a person's life that may have been shared together, like weddings and funeral songs and all sorts of things like that, right? And when the reoccurrence of these happen, the person can instantly feel like this might be a connection from a loved one in the spirit world. For example, if their favorite song was Unforgettable by Nat King Cole, and they played it at their funeral, and even moving forward, you heard it twice in the same day on the radio, on the day that they died, or the next day after their funeral or whatever, you'd be thinking, wow, that's my loved one coming through to let me know they're not gone. So, this can be very powerful and very much connecting. I think music's like a universal language for all of us, really. Regardless of creed and culture, music brings everyone together, right? So I also feel it's very divinely appropriate for the spirit world too, and to people that they've been left behind. It can be a specific type of music. It could be a ringtone. It might have been a ringtone they had on their phone, for example, and every time you hear that certain ringtone, you might feel like, well, that's my brother, that may have passed or whatever. And so these types of moments through music and song are very, very special. I always say to my clients, assign them a song if you haven't. What song do you want that to be? Oh, well, they used to love My Way by Frank Sinatra. I actually played it at their funeral. Okay, well, in the future, if you hear My Way by Frank Sinatra twice in one day on the radio, then it's definitely going to be your dad, isn't it, in the spirit world? And so I think it's important. What song do you want it to be? Make sure you're clear about that. Assign the song to a particular person, and when you do hear it, ask for it to be heard more than once even, just to rule out chance, opportunity, and that will really mean that you're getting a sign from spirit. Music can evolve into, a few chords, sound of a guitar. It could also go into a ringtone for a person that might remind you of them or the type of ringtone they used to have. It might have been, a song you went out together and partied to. it's very wide and broad with music, but be very clear and be very specific. What song, who for, and how many times you need to hear it in that time, whether it's once a day or twice a day or whatever. And at some point, I have no doubt the spirit world will give you a sign through songs or music. Yeah. When I hear Unforgettable by Nat King Cole, I also think of a loved one. When I hear of Vera Lynn, We'll Meet Again, I definitely think of a grandma. When I hear Love Me Tender by Elvis, I definitely feel an association with my mum. And so these are the types of things that stay with us, and they mean a lot to people moving forward, and people will feel like it's definitely a loved one coming back through to them in some way to help and guide them. The 13th most common sign from spirit are visions, right? This is where you get glimpses or vivid impressions in the mind, and it's often, even when your eyes are closed, you can still see an impression, or you can see a person there, or see a loved one that's there, even with your eyes closed. I often sometimes feel the presence of a spirit around me, right? But I often close my eyes and see who comes into my mind. And I often, when I do that, get someone that shows me. I'm listening to if I hear the voice of my mind at the same time, and if I can get a message that way, right? That's how I often see an impression or get a vivid vision in my mind, yeah? Visions can be symbolic, they can be numbers, they can be a place or a space, or it can be a certain person, living or deceased, doesn't matter. But it's often when your eyes are closed, and many people get these types of visions when they're just about to fall asleep and when they first wake up. So that's when it often occurs. Now, you can also get these types of impressions when you're driving, when you're in the shower washing your hair, or feeling like you're staring out the window at school or in the classroom, or staring out the window washing the dishes or whatever. You can get these impressions, right? But what are they? Take note of it. Is it something that's reoccurring all the time? And even try and write it down and remember it. Is it happening over a course of a short period of time, or is it happening over a long period of time? And what's the message in there? What are they trying to show you, yeah, in these visions? Sometimes the vision can be also out of the corner of your eye really quickly, and you're like, I definitely felt like I saw a person there. I definitely felt like it was my mum. I saw it in the corner of my eye for a second. Also, take note of what you're feeling at the time, what you're going through, what's happening in front of you and around you at that moment in time. Because sometimes with spirit, it's so subtle. The answers are there. You've just got to listen or be really observant about it, yeah? And what are they trying to show you? Remember, it takes a lot of energy for that to even manifest. So there's obviously got to be a reason for that. Otherwise, why would they come? But visions can be definitely a great sign that spirit is trying to help and support you at that moment in time. The 14th most common sign from spirit are warm and cold sensations. This is where you can definitely feel the presence of a spirit person as well, where there is an extreme temperature change for no apparent reason. You're all of a sudden in a very warm place, a heated room, for example, and unexpectedly the temperature changes and you get very, very cold all of a sudden. It can also be a place where you're very cold and all of a sudden get hot. I've been to the point where even sweating, it's got that intense. And these are often moments where there's signs of a spirit present. The big thing here is when that's happening, who do you feel might be around you? And being very aware to the subtlety of that. Is there someone around you that you might feel is making you feel that? And often a spirit getting close to you and having some influence over your aura, which is 3 to 5 meters past your body, they can energetically make you feel these sensations taking place, yeah? So it can often be the fact that there's someone in the spirit world. So it can often be the fact that there's someone in the spirit world who's even close to you and blending in your aura and trying to give you comfort, and it's making the energy and temperature of the place you're in change. The 15th most common sign from spirit is rain on a sunny day. This can often be interpreted as a blessing from the divine spirit world. Many see it as an offering and even a cleansing. There's been times when I've been working outside and it's been a completely sunny day, and there's been a cloud literally raining on me, and I just took one step to the left and was dry, and took one step back to the right and was wet. It was like a pure sheet of water coming down. I felt that was very, positively uplifting. I felt like it gave me a sense of changes coming, and that it was, quite a miracle, really, that I was experiencing that moment when I was out in the field working on my own. And, these types of moments with nature can be very special to people and give people a sense of hope moving forward. So rain on a sunny day can definitely change someone's way moving forward. The 16th most common sign from spirit is reoccurring signs and symbols. To many people, seeing the same number or symbol reoccurring can often be a sign of spiritual symbology, but also from a loved one. This can be, things like advertisements and billboards and even ads on buses. It can be letters and numbering. It can be a four-leaf clover. It can be many things like that, where people feel like if it's reoccurring or they see it more than once, then there's definitely some intervention from the spirit world, or it's a sign from a loved one watching over them. The 17th most common sign from spirit are clouds. Clouds can appear in different forms and shapes and sizes and give us hope moving forward, whether it's through act of spiritual divinity or through a loved one. People can often see angelic type beings in clouds, like, harps and all types of cool things like that. Some people have seen images of their dogs that have passed. I know that I have, even on the anniversary of the passing. Sometimes people see letters and numbers as well as a sign or symbol that they've been watched over, particularly if they're connected to a loved one. And often people have seen faces of their loved ones and other pets and animals, yeah? So clouds are a really beautiful way where spirit can show us signs moving forward that they're watching us from above. The 18th most common sign from spirit are phone calls and text messages. This is when a recipient can often associate an unknown call, a missed call, a delayed text message coming through from a sign as a loved one watching over them and moving forward. I've had few clients, in my time talk about that they did receive messages after their loved one had died that came later on. This can also, make people feel like their loved one is still with them, yeah, and a message. I've had some of my clients say that they've had calls and not been able to hear someone on the end of the line, and then feeling that's a presence of a loved one, and they weren't on their own. I've also had some clients say that they did hear a faint voice on the line, very crackly and very distant, but they felt and knew that it was their loved one that had passed, but coming through communication. I have actually a lot of my clients, calling their loved ones on their phone to hear their voice or their voice message because they didn't have a recording of their voice before they died. Often going back and reviewing text messages and reading them to keep them, obviously connected to their loved one while they're processing the loss of them moving forward. So phones and technology and text messages are very important. And it makes sense too, right, that the spirit world know that these things are important to us. They're in our everyday life now. For hours, we're often on our phones. And this is also a great way that they can also keep connected to us. So being mindful of signs and impressions through spirit. Sometimes it can be a song coming on when you didn't have your Spotify on your phone. Sometimes it can be, an odd random message or an advertisement or anything else. Things that are very subtle through phones and text messages and phone calls can be definitely a sign from spirit moving forward, yeah? The 19th most common sign from spirit is deja vu. This is where you can feel that you are on the right path and in alignment to your calling, or with the friends you associate with, or your workplace environment, or whatever. This is when you get a sense of, why do I feel like I've known this person my whole life? Or why do I get a sense and feeling that I've been in this situation before and know the outcome already before it's even happened? Or that I don't feel safe right now. I feel like I've felt something about this coming in, and I'm getting this impression now that I shouldn't go forward or do that or go somewhere. This is this deja vu feeling. This is where spirit can be definitely involved in trying to help you, guide you, and protect you, and make sure you're making a better decision moving forward. The big thing when you feel that deja vu is who's around you, what you're exposed to, How does it make you feel? Does it feel good or does it feel negative? If you get even a maybe feeling, then don't go ahead with it. If you get this, hell yeah, if I don't do this, I'll regret it, then make sure you dive feet first into it, because it's definitely a sign from spirit saying that you're on the right path or in alignment to what you should be doing moving forward. Okay, the 20th most common sign from spirit are orbs, and I really love this one. I'm a scientist by nature, right? So I love when people bring me photos of spirits or orbs in their photographs. These can be round and singular, or they can be multiple singular, impressions or images in photographs. They can also be streaks or smudges, or what I even call rods, where the spirit's moving across or the orb's moving across and it creates a streak, right? I have a scientific mind. In that moment, if you got something like that on camera, how does it make you feel? Do you feel good when it's happened? Who do you feel comes into your mind, or the vision you get of a loved one that might come into your mind when something like that's happened and it's being captured on film at the same time? And be inquisitive. I'm a scientist by nature, right? So I always want to know more about everything. So if I got an orb on a photograph with some friends or going out or whatever, the first thing I'm wanting to do is ruling out any possibility that it could be, reflection or light from somewhere else or another source of energy or whatever. And then I'm, going into the photograph and examining, and can I see faces and whatever in this? Is this a collective group or is it individual or circular? So these orbs can, display that. I've seen, individual faces in an orb to, many faces in one singular orb. And then I've seen clusters of orbs with hundreds of images of people's faces in there, and even animals and pets and things like that can be seen in these things. How does it make you feel? What do you get when you're experiencing that, and where are you in your life, and what's the bigger picture? Is this a soul group, that's come through to let you know they're watching over you, and more than one individual, or is this just, a particular individual that's around you? And what do you feel in your mind and in your presence when you experience something like this? Ask questions, investigate, examine the photos, ask your friends to have a look, see what they think it might be. It's always a wonder, and I love examining these types of things. What I love about it the most is I think the spirit world's trying to show us their world and what it's like, and that, we can't see this with the naked eye, but often at night we capture these things. If you're interested and want to try, then you have to make sure there's no lights on, because light diffuses the energy of spirit, right? Particularly at night time. So you want a dark room, and you want to go in there with a preeminent flash ready to go. So you go in, when you go to take the photo, particularly iPhones or whatever, they have a preeminent flash that lights up the room so that the camera lens can take a photograph of the images in front of it, right? And often when you see that preeminent light go on, you'll see them zipping around or flying past. You can still do it even with a video. The video is even better because the preeminent light stays on to capture the video linking, right? And this is where you can see them darting around and whatnot and capture them on film. Even on video, you can pause the video, take a snapshot of it on the phone, and then enlarge it and go in to see the impressions of spirit. I've had many friends and interested clients in this type of phenomena, say that they can even see a loved one or resonate that it's a loved one in the photograph, and even pets that they've loved and lost in the spirit world. So spirit orbs is a great way that spirit's trying to show you that they're supporting you and guiding you moving forward. Yeah. Okay. The 21st most common sign from spirit is rainfall. Rainfall can be seen as an intense, purifying, cleansing force that's washing away the past, that's revigorating and quenching the thirst of desires moving forward, right, to many people. So it has this divinative aspect to it. Rainfall often keeps us indoors, but it can also make us go outside and run around naked with our clothes off. So it can bring joy and spark joy, but it can also make us be reflective and go inwardly. I find on a nice rainy day too, particularly if it's nice steady rain and gentle rain, it's very calming and very soothing type energy. And I'm often inspired to read books or to do research or to kind of plan and think about my life moving forward and where I want to see myself in the next 5 years or whatever. So I find in those moments through rain and the influence of rain that there's definitely the influence of spirit there too, because they're helping us to kind of make us, see ourselves moving forward and where we'd like our lives to be. It's about being creative and being thoughtful and mindful of our minds and where we want to be with that. So I find in times of rainfall, it can be very much a purifying force, reactivation, redirection, and setting us on another path to the right direction we need to be on. And very much a purifying, cleansing force. The 22nd most common sign from spirit is unexplained feelings of peace. This is where in unexpected moments we can feel a sense of calmness, even a sense of tranquility, even when we're going through difficult times. Where does this come from? This is where we can get a sense of connecting to our higher consciousness, or the spirit can influence our minds and our thoughts to let us know that no matter how difficult it is, no matter what we're going through, whether we don't have enough money or we're going through difficult challenges or through the actions of other people, we will get by. The law of nature has proven that to us already. We've always got by. We might not get what we want all the time, but we always have enough to get by. And the universe will always give that to you, right? So this is where the spirit world can come in and give you that just understanding. Well, sometimes all I can do is just nothing. Say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. Sometimes in these moments, this is where I have to just step back and que sera, sera, what will be, will be. Let nature take its course, or someone else might come up with a better solution or a better idea. Right now, I just have to surrender. There can be these moments like this in our lives that make us feel like, why do I feel calm? Something will work out. We'll get by. We'll get by. The money will come from somewhere. We'll be okay. It's these moments that the spirit world are definitely trying to show us that we'll be okay. The 23rd most common sign from spirit is actually hearing names. This could be hearing your name repeatedly, or hearing the name of another person in the spirit world, or a loved one that you've lost, and hearing their name through spirit communication. And this is often a sign to many that their loved ones are watching over us. There's been times when I've heard my name, even waking up in the night, or hearing it, feeling like someone's called out my name and woken up. What's that? Someone's calling my name? What's happening? And there's those types of moments where I felt like there was definitely a presence around me in the spirit world. And that's, letting me know they're trying to communicate, right? Also hearing the names of other people in spirit through communication. If another medium was connected to me and all of a sudden, oh, I've got your granddad here, and they talk about Uncle Jack, you understand this? That would also make me feel, well, there's definitely a sign from spirit that they're watching over me, because that would be true. This can be great inspiration to us and giving us a sense that loved ones in the spirit world are watching over us. The 24th most common sign from spirit is repeated words, and I really love this one too, right? This can be anything from odd names, odd words, to code words, passwords. It can be, nicknames of people, where, people see this and it might be repeated in one day, knowing that, well, that's definitely a sign from someone. Like, for example, an Uncle Bobby who died. Person goes out and that day and goes, oh, I'd like you to meet my new friend. Their name's Bobby. Okay, that's great. But then going down the road and meeting another person that says, well, this is my dog who's also called Bobby, that person would be thinking, well, I've just been told Bobby in 2 days. Obviously, this is my Uncle Bobby in spirit trying to influence me, in some way. So that's where there's an association. It might be, slang or a colloquial type of language. So, for example, in Australia, stone the flaming crows, mate, stone the flaming crows, mate. So it might be something that a granddad would always say if he was frustrated, oh, stone the flaming crows. And all of a sudden you go out and, you're at somewhere social, and all of a sudden someone goes, "Oh, stone the flaming crows." Well, that's what my granddad would say. And as you know, and I was just looking at the watch that he gave me when that was said. Those types of things can really, make someone feel through repeated words, an association to a loved one and a sign from someone watching over them. Yeah. It can be, letters and all types of cool things too. Yeah. But very typical that spirit can do that. It can be, double words in literature or in books. It can be something in a crossword puzzle, but repeated words can often be a great sign that spirit's watching over you. Yeah. The 25th most common sign from spirit is strong emotions that come out of nowhere. Um, I mean, we all get emotional sometimes, but sometimes we often question ourselves, well, why is this so significant right now, and where did that come from? Why was I acting that way? It's not typically me, or I don't know where these emotions are coming from. This can definitely be the influence of spirit at different moments of your life. How does it make you feel? What are you going to do about it? And what's around you, and who's around you, and what are the challenges you're going through when these strong emotions take place? Through these emotions, does it inspire? Is it a warning? Is it about self-protection? Is it about moving on or letting go or surrendering? This is where we have to take heed of these strong emotions at different times of our life, because they can be a sign from spirit trying to help and guide you in the right direction. The 26th most common sign from spirit are flowers. Flowers are very special and very significant to many of us because they often remind us of a loved one, particularly if it was their favorite. Particularly if they were obsessive over it, or they loved planting it in their garden, or they were used as remembrance at their funeral or their service, or they were often a hobbyist, or grew them professionally, or manicured them into beautiful objects. Yeah, these types of things are very, very special to people. I feel like a lot of my clients associate flowers as representative of that person that they've missed and loved. And what do we do to remember our loved ones? We often give flowers in remembrance. We, plant trees and things with flowers on it to honor a person. We gift them onto other people. We often are given them to care for and look after them, even since they've passed on and things like that. So flowers are very symbolic. For example, if a person talked about daisies for me around one of my grandmothers, I would say absolutely yes, because she loved daisies. That was her favourite flower. We put lots of daisies on her coffin to honour her. And if someone mentioned daisies to me about one of my grandmothers, I would definitely be feeling that she was watching over me and connecting with me in that moment in time. So if you haven't got a specific flower for any one person, then you can even assign it to them. So if you haven't got a flower assigned to anyone that you've missed and loved in the spirit world, you can also assign that to them. And often, sometimes spirit will just come and tell you that in recent times, you were standing in a field of sunflowers and I was watching over you. Or I know that when I died, you put a red rose on my coffin and said your goodbyes to me. And I know that when you see a red rose now, it means something to you. Or you actually kept those flowers from my service and then pressed and dried those lilies, and I know they're hanging upside down on the wall next to a photograph of me. These types of things can also be very much comfort and support to those who are trying to move forward. So the 27th sign from spirit is glimpses in your peripheral vision, or getting a sense of someone's there. Oh, I just felt like I saw my granddad for a moment. It was just right there. Didn't you see him? I didn't see anything, but he was just there. Didn't you see him? That type of feeling, it can be very quick, very subtle impressions in your peripheral vision, can definitely be a sign from spirit, yeah, that they're watching over you. A lot of people sometimes dismiss it. Often people think, well, it's just a shadow, or they didn't quite see or make out who it was, but it's definitely a sign that the spirit world's watching over you or being around you. Okay, the 28th most common sign from spirit is unexplained healing. This is where self-recovery and improvement in health ailments and moving forward physically, where there's changes that are medically unexplainable that take place. Often in downtimes when we're injured or sick or don't feel our best, we're often reflective, we're often turmoil, we're often going through confusion and being unwell, feeling depressed, not feeling our best, yeah? And over time, it's manifested to stop us in our tracks. When you get an unexplained sense of recovery or healing that can't be medically explained, right? I feel like this is also a sign from Spirit saying, you've got another chance here. Now that you've processed, you've had time to work things out, and if you've got the opportunity to do things differently with what you know now, would you? And here is that chance. So it's about taking a leap of faith, going forward and feeling positive with new cause and direction in your life. And I feel like sometimes unexplained healing can take place because they want you to now realize that you are more powerful than you realize, that you are a spirit, not a body, and that you are here to be of service and make change, and that they're trying to empower you to maybe look at going down a different path of where you're supposed to be heading. So please take note of any unexplained healing that takes place to you. Celebrate it, rejoice, but make the most of it. The 29th most common sign from Spirit is the gift of nature, and I really love this because I spent a long time of my life working in the nature. But this is where beautiful and meaningful things that nature provides can mean something to us, have spiritual significance, or make us feel like someone in the spirit world is watching over us. I know in my own experience, I found a love-shaped rock that was in a creek, miles away from the suburbia. And I found that over many different stones and rocks and that pattern. And it made me feel that that moment in time, there was a loved one in my mind when I found it who I was thinking about. And that was no coincidence. It made me feel like I know what I'm doing when it comes to this person and how I can help them. Another moment in time was coming across a spider's web, right, in the trees where the dew on the spider's web had gone a bit almost frosted, but it created the shape of a love heart. And at that moment in time, I was thinking about a loved one who had passed while I was at work. You can't tell me that these aren't significant moments or signs or symbols when you come across them, And I know, moving forward in our day, there's often people now are very creative with natural things, and lots of young kids and people like to leave beautiful things with nature, even little messages on stones for other people to find and giving hope to people, right? Which I think is just really sweet. Sometimes it's a painted ladybird on a pebble or a butterfly on a rock. One time I found a pebble, right? And it just said, God believes in you. And I was like, thank you. Just to find that at the time, I was questioning and doubting myself and what I was doing. And, to find that was inspirational. And it was from nature too, but also through the hand of someone wanting to spread the message, right? So isn't that wonderful that these things can mean something to us at that moment in time, and definitely a sign that we're being watched over, so I love that. The 30th most common sign from Spirit is meditation. In meditation, this is where we can get impressions and feelings and emotions from loved ones in the spirit world, or our guide, or the supreme force, whatever you believe that to be, right? This is where we can change our way of thinking, our thoughts and feelings. This is where we can go into, I am worthy, I do love myself, I am good enough, I can do this, I will do that. Those types of feelings and emotions, right? And this is where we can also get visions of our loved ones who have passed, even people you don't know. If you get impressions from someone you don't know, ask them, who are you? Are you my guide right now? Are you someone from my family from the past? Give me something. Let me go and research and find out. Let me keep connected to you. Let's keep this relationship going. If you're getting these insights and impressions from people, yeah? I had one person come to me once and he made me feel like he was a guide, but later on I found out that he was a great uncle to me, yeah, from the past. And this is where you can learn more about the people who are coming and helping you from the other side. Is there symbology? Is there reasoning? Is there a sense to want to change direction after a meditation? Are you getting a feeling where you got an idea where you can improve your health and well-being? That you need to purge things or let go of something or change a relationship or move or relocate? Or are these, inspired thoughts? What are you doing about these things? And the main question here is after a meditation or anything like this, ask yourself, how would I feel if I left this world right now and didn't do something about that? And if you get a hell yeah, and do something about it. People only regret what they didn't do in life, not what they've done. These are just 30 common signs from spirit, but there are many, many more. They're very subtle sometimes, and if you're too emotional or too busy or distracted, you might miss them. So please listen and be observant, and there's no coincidence, there's only opportunity. And if you listen and take note of these signs and symbols, you're being guided by angelical beings and loved ones in spirit who want to see you live the life you should be living. Yeah? Don't have any regrets. People only regret what they didn't do in life, but trust the signs and symbols from the spirit world. They want you to be happy and live for them, not suffer for them. Yeah.